Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. How's everyone doing? I'm praying that you are well tonight. Everything is absolutely marvelous and wonderful here on the Bravo with Sheila and co-host Dawn B. Listen, we're having a good time tonight. I know that I've had a busy day and so has my co-host, but guess what? We're here. We're here because we promised to be here. And so tonight we're going to talk about something so very interesting. We won't be before you long tonight. I just feel tonight might be a short broadcast. Uh, I just feel that in the spirit that it's going to be kind of short, but we did want to come and share and talk about something that I think is very special and very dear. So let me bring my co-host up before we open up the show officially. And here she is, Dawn B.
Hey, Tuesday, everybody.
Yeah. It's a day. Maybe it's the weather that got has things kind of gloomy or whatever, but it's just been a busy day. I've been trying to build the other platform, so a lot of pressure has been on me. But listen, we're here for the Bravettes and for whoever so will. You know, those that a lot of times when we do our broadcast, Dawn, people come after and watch, and I do a lot of clips, and we get a lot of hits on the shorts so that people can kind of see what we talk about here on this platform. And tonight, I wanted to share, and I wanted you to share, I wanted us to share Mantrell on a mission. Mwah, smooches to you, sweetie. She is saying, hey, ladies, you know, we have to greet our bravettes. Mantrell,
Hey, Prophet.
Mantrell on a mission. She is here. And so I just wanted to chat a little bit about this topic. I'm going to put the banner up now. And, you know, I love African proverbs. I
Yeah.
love those one liners that says a lot within it. And I know prophetically, I can see through some stuff, you know, how the revelation of everything that comes. And I'm sure you're like that too. You'll see a quote or see something, and God will show you inside of that some other stuff, some other things, some other revelations. And so we know that on this platform, we love women, to build women up, to help get them to where they need to be, to influence them, and to push them to a place called there, wherever their there is.
Right.
And in life with women, because we've gone through so much, you know, relationships have done a damage. And hopefully, those of us who have gone through some situations in relationships, we have sat in it, you know, pointed the finger on ourselves instead of out, to find out what part did we play, but also to receive healing and wholeness as we continue this journey. And sometimes it's not easy. It's easier for some, and for others, they struggle with understanding the greatness that abides within them. And so the topic tonight is we see what we're talking about, and I just think it's so powerful. And the way I started seeing it, and I was like, okay, I understand this totally. But you know, a lot of times people translate things based on where they are and how
Mhm.
they think and receive. But I just want people out there to know why we're here. Our purpose here is to build women up, is to speak to the heart of women, no matter what state they find themselves in now. There is so much chatter on in the YouTube streets about women and relationships and men. And some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with. And I think too, because it's a different era for me. It's some of the conversation that's going on, I don't relate to it because I haven't witnessed it on the level that they're talking about it. They
Yeah.
are much younger than me, and I'm sure things have shifted and turned in terms of how women do things and men do things and relationships work. But on a whole, my heart is to speak life into whatever situation. I don't care if it's someone who has done something 1,000 times or 10 times. My heart is to continue to speak life because love never fails.
That's right.
Some comments were made on different platforms, you know, not one in particular. Hi, Princess K. She's in the
Hey,
house.
Nisi.
Yes. And, you know, conversations. There are different conversations about women, and like I said, it's some of it is foreign to me because I haven't experienced a lot of women on the level that they're being talked about. Although I know it's legit, and it's people's opinions, right?
Mhm.
So if it's your opinion, it's your opinion,
Right.
but it doesn't mean that it's a blanket statement across the board. And again, my goal, our goal, is to speak to the heart of women, to speak life into people, no matter where they've been, no matter how many kids they had out of wedlock, no matter how many times they got married or divorced. I will not ever put my mouth on a situation because we don't know, we weren't there, and we don't understand. Do we all need healing? Of course we do. But tonight I wanted to talk about, and I'm always telling women that they're jewels inside of us. We are jewels, special, special jewels. And before we get into tapping into the conversation, I don't even think I'm going to open the show with an intro right now. It's good where we are right now. Tell me a little bit about what you think about what I'm saying right now.
I agree. I feel like, I've been watching, I've been tapping into a lot of different relationship rooms and a lot of chat and just hearing what's going on as well. And I do find that it feels like women are, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of weight that is being put on the women. Um, And on one hand, I understand it because I had to look at it in the sense of God created us to be the help to meet the need of the man. And
Exactly.
sometimes when you are that help,
Hmm.
the weight is heavier on you because they're expecting you to fill in these things.
Okay.
Um, so I get that. But I also feel like there's some grace that's missing
Hmm.
within that, and we as women are very defensive,
Right.
you know. One thing that as I've listened to some of these conversations has been, one thing that comes to me constantly is like, do you want to be right or do you want to get it right?
Hmm.
Someone has to stop and put their feelings just on pause, not to the side, but
Hmm.
just so we can hear each other, because it seems like everybody wants to be heard but nobody's listening.
Hmm.
um, and women, we've been, I want to say, like, beat down so much for very many reasons,
Hmm.
that I feel like the only way to put a plug in it and stop it, somebody has to take the loss, or somebody has to
Mm.
take the responsibility. And we as women, in order for us to help and enable ourselves, one thing I've done is that I stopped looking at what was done to me and I started looking at what I contributed to a situation.
There you go.
And once I started taking ownership and responsibility,
Yep.
then it started to shift and change, because I am not responsible for what someone else does. I'm
Right.
responsible for what I allow.
Exactly.
So, when we start there, I think we as women will find our place again.
Yeah.
And then we make better decisions and choices. And you can even deal with the men or the people in your life differently.
I think that's good.
Yeah, and it gives us a different view. It'll cause people, you have to kind of teach people how to treat you, but you have to know how you should be treated, and you have to carry yourself in that way. So I feel like
Absolutely.
we have to take that responsibility, um, because when you carry yourself as a lady, a man will have no choice but to treat you that way or leave you alone.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's a place for everything, there's a time for everything. And when you can find people to ID and understand where you've come from, and how they can contribute to, not because they're responsible, but because love kicks in or interest kicks in. It's a decision. Do I want to deal with this? Yes or no? Or do I want to keep it moving? It's a choice. It's a choice that you make. And I totally agree with what you're talking about in terms of, that's why I said you got to turn the finger on yourself and do the work. And when you do the work, then that balance, when you're going to meet someone or date someone, you can find some common ground instead of coming with a lot of different baggage. But even those that don't know how to release this baggage, don't know how to let, because everyone has their own trauma. Everyone has their own level of trauma, some worse than others. It takes some longer than others to get through these layers that
Mm-hmm.
have intruded into their emotions, into their lives, right? And
Yeah.
so when I hear judgment, that's what bothers me. I don't like judgment. I like for someone to say, well, I hope this person gets to this place, or, yes, she had kids out of, because I mean, it's a lot of things that's being said, not
Right.
just on YouTube streets in general, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what women have done and not done, but you don't know what they come from. Right. So maybe down the road, they had baby four and now they got it together. They're ready to change. So you can't judge what happened before based on what you see now,
Right.
because what you're looking at now may not be who I was before. And so
Right.
I always say that women, I see them as jewels, regardless of if they're chipped, regardless if they're scarred up. I always see them in their not yetness, right? I see them through the eyes of Christ, and I know that people have a lot of opinions. Again, I have to say I'm older than a lot of the chatter that I hear and a lot of that I see, right? And so a lot of it's legitimate. If it's someone's experience, I can't negate that they're speaking from their experience and their
Right.
opinion, right?
Right.
Because I bring to the table what I've experienced and what
Right.
I know, the wisdom that I have, right? But there still has to be a level of understanding. And let's just put Princess K's comment up real quick. She says it's about love, empathy, and understanding. I listen to conversations and see a complete lack of all of these things. People want to point fingers, but fail to acknowledge that they also have fallen. Yes, yes, and yes. She
Mm-hmm.
also says that I am young and sometimes impulsive. God is working on that in me daily. We should be speaking life into each other, not death. Not one is perfect, and not everyone has more than a few. Yes, I mean, and everyone has more than a few, and that is so true. And I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, when people can speak about people, whether it's male or female, and don't look at their own flaws, right? Like they've arrived, like, okay, I used to be this, but now I'm this. And that doesn't give you the right to say anything, because we're never, ever, ever complete in
Right.
striving. So
Right.
when I looked at, and I've been talking about the African proverbs and been talking about them and feeling really, we had some incredible conversations since we've been tapping into them. And tonight, uh pearls don't lie on the seashore. And so I always loved pearls, right? And I always thought about pearls, just like when I taught about on the channel, the SIM broadcast, the kabad. I talked about the salmon, and I talked about the whole situation, how a salmon actually has to go upstream, downstream. We'll get to that at another
Mm-hmm.
time. But I'm always interested in how God does things. Like in the mind of God, how he created each
Right.
thing has a purpose, right? It's like you
Mm-hmm.
may think a fish don't have a purpose, but it
It
does.
does.
And,
Right.
and, and so I kind of chopped that up over on the other across the street, as me and Coco said, at the SIM broadcast. And so, when I studied somewhat about pearls, some years ago, and it fascinated me how the Lord even created this whole
The
situation
whole
for
process.
for the whole process. And I thought about it, and that's what I want to tap into a little bit tonight about the pearl, and talk about how they don't lie on the seat. A pearl goes through some real trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like us women, we go through trauma, but the result of it, we come out what?
Man,
Beautiful.
listen.
The process, the burning us, like gold. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
most I want to just talk a little bit of backdrop, and then we're going to jump in. Most jewelry is fashioned out of precious metals and jewels, and they are found buried in the earth. Now that fascinated me, right? But pearls are found inside of a living creature. Okay, stop, pause right there. All right. So as we as women, right, what's in us, right, the beauty that we hold, the beauty that is within us, a ruby, a diamond, or a pearl. Like the pearl is what has all the friction. Let me go on. Pearls are the result of a biological process, a biological process. The oyster's way of protecting itself from foreign substances. So when I learned about this years ago, I started reflecting. I said, so many women across the world wear, whether they fake pearls,
Right.
real
Yes.
pearls, whatever, they don't understand the value of a pearl and the meaning of the pearl and what the pearl went through, the
To be
process
true.
to be on adorned by us. Oysters are not the only fish, that produce pearls, but they are much. It's a much more rare occurrence to find them. And most pearls are produced by oysters in both freshwater and saltwater environments. To understand how pearls are formed in oysters, you must first understand their basic anatomy. Now, this, God is just awesome in all of his ways, right? So the shell, the two parts are called valves, right? And the
Hmm.
shell's valves are held together by an elastic ligament. A
Hmm.
ligament, okay? A breathing, or okay, I don't have to even stop, pause, and go there, right?
Right.
So
Right.
the parts of the oyster has a mouth, a stomach, a heart, intestines, gills, anus, abductor muscle, and a mantle. Okay, so wait a minute, Lord, what you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Lord? So when I realized the beauty that we behold, women, the beauty, regardless of where we took a left turn or a right turn,
Hmm.
the original intent of God still rests on the inside of us. The original plan, the original diagram, everything that God placed can't be altered to the point that it disappears. It may be dormant, it may be buried, but just like this oyster, it grows in size. It
Right.
grows in size. Its shell must also grow. So as the inner being is growing, the outer being is growing. Oh
Gotta
my
house
God.
it. Gotta house it.
Listen. God is so awesome in how he orchestrates everything. If we would just stop, pause, and reflect on how he designed everything has a purpose. And so the oyster's natural reaction is to cover up. So I don't want to keep reading because I do know, off the top of my head, I'll come back to it. So we know that the oyster, we see how incredible this oyster is. So we wonder, like, okay, so I've seen my mother crack open oysters and eat them and love them. I don't, but I'm like, what are you doing? Just like the clam, what are you doing, right? But she said, good eating. And a lot of people love oysters, but it's so hard to get an oyster open. So then
Hmm.
after I'm reading and studying, I'm like, okay, so this pearl, how did this happen? It was absolutely an irritant that wedges its way,
Right. Right.
whether it's put there manually, because some people just grab the oyster and stick it in there so they can create pearls. But
Hmm.
inside, it's almost like a splinter in our finger,
Right.
and
Right.
it irritates the oyster. Can you imagine the oyster that has a heart, the oyster that's alive, the oyster that has a stomach, trying to move away from the very thing that's harassing it?
That sounds like me. I've been there.
All of us have.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many internal things that we've allowed to come into our lives as women that we thought was a cool thing to do, but it was an irritant all the time? How many times have we placed ourselves in situations that we didn't know? We're just trying it out and find out, oops, another bad move. How
Hmm.
many things have we given access knowingly,
Oh my.
knowing, not an intruder,
Right.
knowingly turned it
Right.
over?
Open the door.
Yeah, open it. That's right.
Took the door off the hinges.
And it causes havoc in our lives, on our eternal being. How does that turn into this beautiful pearl? How do we survive that? This pearl, this oyster, goes through the friction. Some say it's sand. The sand
Yeah.
just friction and just annoying and annoying and annoying. Hello, Bravette Ine.
Hey, Nay.
How many times, have we allowed an irritant to get inside of us as women? How? She's saying hello, Dawn B.
How beautiful.
Hi, Nate. And so when we talk about the pearl and we talk about this thing is so something, the pearls don't lie on the seashore. So what does that mean? Like, oh, so you're so messed up that you've gone through so much, you done laid down. You done laid it down, you done laid yourself down because everything you invited in your life or things that came and violated your life that you thought was a good thing internally as a woman, and we're jewels on the inside and out. And our jewel, our pearl, is being manifested as the friction. And that's how it should be. Everything that violated us, everything that irritated us, every irritant that found its way into our being, let
Mhm.
it be a beautiful thing that manifests out of it and not something that depletes us and takes
Right.
away from us. Go ahead, Dawn B. Jump in.
I just in listening to everything that you're saying and in thinking about when I first read it, and I thought about, like you said, how the pearl is made in the sand, how it connects with the oyster and the clam and just the whole process of it. Um, and how it is reflective of our lives and what we go through, what we either allow in or what gets in. And it
Yeah.
just reminded me of the word where it says, all things work together, for the good, how God will take all of these things, these irritants
Yes.
that we try so hard to run away from, to dismiss. But the irritants are necessary. I know I found
Yes.
that going through all the things that I thought, I found what I didn't want in the things that irritated me most.
See?
And I didn't really realize that sometimes, even when you don't, when they say about the process of elimination, when you don't know what you want, sometimes God sends an irritant or allows things to irritate your life when things start to, it's so that you can see that this is not what you want,
Yeah.
and then you try to expel it out of your life. It
Right.
makes you want better. It makes you,
Right.
it makes you really understand your value. It makes you look at yourself differently. It makes you realize, like, no, this is not reflective of me, and that's what starts to breed that change in us. Start to believe that you are worth more, you were created for more, your purpose is more, and we have to learn not to shy away from the irritants but work through them,
Right.
and let the irritant do their job. Because if they don't, like you were saying, with the clam and the oyster, the pearl, the beauty comes through some pain sometimes. Oftentimes some of the most beautiful things are birthed through pain when we think about childbirth, you
Childbirth.
know
Yeah.
um and we have to go through these things. That the thing is that we're not meant to stay there.
Right.
It's a time and it's a season, because there comes a time, and sometimes we even, and it's just, I just got an email, sometimes we even, um when you was talking about how the clam expands for what it's creating inside, even though it's irritating it. How
Yes.
many times have we expanded ourselves to
Yes.
make room for the very thing that is irritating us?
Mm. Mm.
How much do we, and I mean, that just blew my mind. Like, for me, it's like, God just said, how many times how many times that relationship that you don't need to be in, whether male, female, female,
Mhm.
female, friends, family, but we keep expanding ourselves to make room for the thing.
Ooh.
Instead of expelling it, we make room for it, which causes more damage, um, and it's just amazing how the capacity that we have as women and as people, we have to redirect what we're using that capacity for,
Yes,
you
that's
know.
so good. That's
Um,
so good. That's so powerful because you're right. And exactly, when the more I think about it, like the mind of God, so he gives this oyster a stomach, a heart, intestines, gills, anus, abductor muscle, and a mantle. The mantle is the shell, the mantle that expands when you're in a part of when the oyster's inside is expanding, the mantle is expanding. Like we're talking about, every woman is a jewel. Every woman, I want the takeaway to be that whatever has been irritant, whatever you think depleted you, whatever someone says about you, whatever a stigma is on you, whatever someone wants to say about you because of your past, You have to eliminate that. And what you just said was so powerful, that how many times do we continuously invite that in? Let it happen, not just in a relationship, family, children, whatever, your job. How long does it, what does it take for us to say that's enough? No, because I'm better than that. I'm more than that. I'm going to take a leap out of this because I can't be in this situation anymore. Everything that we go through, I always say that we have to find a jewel in the madness. We gotta walk, we have to walk away with some type of jewel that we learned.
You got to.
Who's measuring? Not me, but walk away with something. Never let the enemy deplete you to where that experience totally depleted everything from you and God gets no glory, right? Who's counting? Who's weighing? No one. Just always look for something inside of a bad situation. Now, at a certain point, you may be so hurt you can't see it then, but your goal should be, okay, when you get a little stronger, when you get a little better, when you get a little stronger, you begin to see clearer. And you be like, okay, I'm going to turn this situation just like this oyster who minds its business at the bottom of the sea. At the bottom of the sea, a piece of sand or whatever comes and finds its way into. It has to be so tiny because an oyster shell, there's sometimes they say you have to bang it with a hammer to open it. It's very difficult. It's not like a clam where you can pop it open.
Right.
Oyster is secure and strong. And when you find that a sand, one piece of grain, one grain got into the crevices of this oyster and rubbed. Can you imagine the oyster over here and then over here trying to sleep and the grain of sand?
That's how it starts.
Oh my God. But you can't escape. The poor thing can't escape. But look what comes from it.
It has to turn it into something.
Pearls.
Yes, ma'am.
Some cost more than others. I love pearls. You have the black pearl, the pink pearl, the white pearl. You have the soft, what do you call it? The shell pearls, the soft water.
Like the milky white ones.
Yeah, the little cute small ones. You have, look, my pearls. I love pearls, right? And that's why I was like, one day, let me see how they got here. Wait a minute, where does pearl thing come from? People talk about diamonds. Yes, the diamond goes through the trying fire, but it's that stone was found in the upper part of the earth, right? Rubies, the upper part. This poor little oyster.
The bottom situation.
And so for us as women, we need to understand that there's going to be some irritants. There are going to be some things to refine us. But those things aren't there to deplete you and to make you feel less. And like I said, I hear so many different things in these streets and other places. And I know you've been on a lot of platforms, relationship platforms, and that's awesome because I want you to add more to what is going on in those rooms. But just hearing, like I said, it maybe is my age and the timing of where things have shifted, but nevertheless, a woman's a woman, right? And I'm about life. I'm about speaking life. I'm not about bashing. I don't care where you've been, what you did, who you laid with. I don't care anything. I want to know and check your heart. How's your heart beat? Saving a woman. So when I saw, and we've been doing these proverbs. So the pearl is a foreign substance covered with layers of narc. And that's what you call the beginning of the irritant. The irritant starts to move and annoy the oyster. And then what forms is something called a narc, a N-A-R-C. That narc, that covering starts to form. And most pearls that we see in jewelry stores are nicely rounded objects, which are the most valuable ones. But not all pearls turn out so well, just like not all women turn out so well once we have those irritants that have intruded into our heart, our minds, and our souls, right? So some pearls form in an uneven shape. Those are those shells. I forgot the name. I think they're soft water pearls. I can't remember. But most pearls can be found all over the world. But black pearls are the ones you find in the South Pacific. Cultured pearls are created by the same process as natural pearls, but are given a slight nudge by pearl harvesters. That's what I said. Some of these folks go down in the water, pull this thing up, pull up. Thank you so much, Ine. They go down and they pull these oysters up. You know, man always gonna put their hands on something and
Mm-hmm.
not let the natural process happen because of
Right.
greed and money. So they done got a
They trying to
revelation.
hurry the process along.
Yeah, so they're gonna go ahead down there, get the oyster, and they're gonna jar it open to put something in it manually.
Trying to
Manually.
manufacture something.
They manufacture it, which causes them to sell it for a less amount because it didn't happen organically. It didn't happen
Mm-hmm.
naturally. So those that don't make it, like, listen, women, you see the title, right? We see the title of this. No, pearls aren't meant to lie on nobody's seashore because they're beautiful, they're magnificent, they're priceless, and we are God's pearls. We are God's jewels, right? And I always call women, you're a special jewel, you're a wonderful jewel, you're this, you're that, because I know what it takes to become refined. I know what it takes to become where now you're shining and you're brilliant because
Mm-hmm.
last year or the year before or growing up
Listen.
trauma, whatever tried to steal your life, cause you to be depressed, to delete yourself, to do whatever, to get to where you are today. Every woman deserves a bravo, a
That's right.
bravo, a bravo. I don't have to know you. You just deserve it because you're still here. While cultured and natural pearls are considered to be of equal quality, natural pearls are generally less expensive, the ones that's tampered with. Let's say this. I'll do these questions in a second. I want you to jump in and
Mhm.
share a little bit.
I was thinking about as you were talking, one thing that popped into my mind was the experience of the clam being the position, as you were saying about how the diamonds and rubies are found up high,
Yeah.
but the clam and the oyster are found low, you know. And what came to me was, and I want to try to word it properly,
Okay.
that we as women and we as people, you need to know that no matter how low you are, no matter what your lowest peak or lowest place was or
Mm-hmm.
is,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't define your beauty and your purpose. That there, you don't have to start up top in order to have value, in order to be validated or affirmed. Don't take for granted that even though you might be in the low place or you might be in your lowest place,
Yes.
there's still a process of coming up that is going to turn into something that is beautiful because there's
Yes.
purpose in you
Yes.
that is going to live. Like you were saying, it's the sand is inside of a live place. So even though you're going through all hell and high water, and you may feel depleted and depressed and discouraged, there's still it's not going to be always. The process is going to bring you through to your purpose place.
Yes.
And you're going to be irritated. But again, it's just I just kept seeing and hearing about like the bottom line about, because we feel like when we are at our bottom, like that's it.
Right.
Like we're gonna be here forever. This is where we are. This is where we meant to be, and nothing. It don't get better from here. Don't pick yourself up and dust yourself off. Like I said, the pearl doesn't lie on the seashore. The clamshell might, the oyster shell might, but the pearl, you're gonna have to dig for that. You can find my shell, but to get to the core of me, you're
Ooh.
gonna have to dig for that. So don't be fooled by your low place because you will not
Oh,
be there always.
yes. Oh, that's so good. Princess K says, refining is our lifelong process, but it can hurt sometimes.
Yes, it will.
People ask God to bless them, to change them, but they often fail to realize that the molding hurts. So when their molding occurs, I guess she'll finish. When their molding occurs. Yeah. So, dot, dot, dot. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, here she go. Uh, they get upset with God, asking why. But that's the process. Diamonds shine only through extreme pressure and fire. That's correct. And I will accept God's ever-changing fire if it means the result of being amazing. I love that. And that is so true.
Mhm.
So true. And so when we have that type of attitude and that type of mindset about our lives, about our sisters and our brothers, right? We become healthy. We be able to what pull a sister up and pull a brother
Mhm.
up, you know. And Princess K says, but he knows where I am going, and when he tests me, I shall emerge as pure gold. Absolutely, Job 23:10. Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely,
we got to be
absolutely.
careful when we asking God to change us, because a lot of times when we don't want Him to change us, we want Him to change what's around us, not
Mm-hmm.
really change us. And because when He changes us, we become something that we're not.
Yeah,
Something that we're not right now. And
yeah,
that's she's talking about the refining process. Like, we don't really
yes,
understand what that means. Like, God, I want you to change me to fit this situation.
yes,
And God is saying, that's not how this works. You know, I can't change you to fit this situation. I got to change you out of the situation, which is
yes,
where that whole process
absolutely.
is. So, it's like I learned to really be careful when I say God changed me. Expect, I've learned to expect the
The
polar opposite.
expectation we
Right.
got. Yes,
Polar opposite. I don't even know what
yes.
I'm asking for, God, but
Absolutely. It's funny because I just did a broadcast on the SIM broadcast on the flame,
hmm
the servant, the king, and the soul.
okay.
And I just finished that a little while ago, about the flame. You can't get to these places if your flame is low on the inside, right? All consuming fire. Fire is what causes which is our prayer life, to elevate to the point where we're powerful in our natural walk, right? So as she mentioned about the fire, and you're talking about it, just kind of pulled up some of the
hmm
information what I just finished talking about on the other, as I say, across the street on the
Cross.
other platform. And so let's look at a couple of questions. How is a pearl formed? We already know that, but let's just say we recapping so we can kind of close out. The
hmm
formation of a pearl starts when a foreign substance slips into the oyster between the mantle and shell. This irritation causes the oyster to attempt to protect itself, producing narc to cover the foreign substance. Over time, these layers form a pearl. Over time. So look, how long? How long? Not long. Right? It's like how long? Not long. Like, look, what you done invited in your heart and in your life, you
Listen,
trying to talk. How long? Well, how long you think it's going to take? What did you invite in?
it's
Right?
gonna be long.
It's going to be long, but guess what's going to happen? You come out as pure gold. As
Yes,
long
ma'am.
as you can take it and realize that you still are worthy. You're still worthy despite where you've been or what has become an
That's
irritant to
right.
you. Do oysters die when you take the pearl? Is the question. When you take out the pearl, it does not kill or harm the oyster, provided it's harvested extremely careful. Oh my God.
Mhm.
Right there, that's
Yeah,
loaded.
I was gonna say that's the whole.
That that
It's a
that
whole nother.
that's loaded. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
we can't mess with that. That's
No, that's a broadcast in itself.
it sure is. Can
Oh
oysters
yeah.
produce colored pearls? Pearls produced by oysters come in a variety of colors, including white, black, gray, red, blue, and green. While most of these colors can be found all over the world, black pearls are found in the South Pacific. Rare and beautiful. Can you imagine the price tag?
Just
Ooh.
like us.
Yeah, I got no black pearls on my string right here now. I know black, I got gray and pink and white. I ain't got no black. I ain't got no black. No black in there. No
We're gonna
black.
have to find you some black out. We
Gotta
have to
go
find
find
you
me the
some black.
black. How do you extract pearls from oysters? Harvesters open the oyster shell slightly and cut a small slit in the mantle tissue with a surgical instrument to take out the pearl, handled with care.
You're delicate.
Like us.
That's right. Tell them be gentle with you. Tell them, listen, I'm
Like
delicate.
us.
Be careful with me now.
Be careful with me now. So that has been what I wanted to talk about tonight, about when I realized how beautiful we are, despite the irritants that have intruded in our lives or we invited in our lives, right? And found out, oops, made a mistake. Oops, wrong man. Oops. Oops, there's so many oops, right? Right? Despite all
Yeah.
of that, the original intent of God is that we are beautiful, fearfully and wonderfully made. The original intent of God can never be erased,
That's it.
ever. So, pearls don't lie on the seashore. In closing, if you want one, you must dive for it. Don't be scared. Come on
Right.
out of that space, pick yourself back up, and go for who you are and what you are. It says, dive for it. This proverb is more than just about pearls, it provides real wisdom about life. And that's what we're talking about. What do you
Yeah.
pull from the situation where you've been violated or irritant has found its way in your life? What do you get from it? There's that jewel I'm talking about. You got to walk away with some wisdom. You got to walk away with some revelation. If you want something as special and beautiful as pearls in your life, then you must be willing to dive for it, meaning you take chances. So, nothing,
Mhm.
absolutely nothing should happen to us to lock us down, to cause us to think it's over. Don't care how old you are, don't care where you've been. Add to that, Dawn B.
I would just say, as you were saying, no matter what situations that you've been in, you always make the point to walk away with a gem, and I want you to know that sometimes your walk away is your takeaway. You know,
Ooh, drop
sometimes.
the mic. What? Whoop. You know how we do. Whoop. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up. We don't breeze through certain
But
things
I
here.
know, I know.
So
I,
that was like a serious mic drop. Now, say that one more one.
I said. As you were saying, no matter what situation you're in, when you're going out, she always leave with a gem. And you need to know that sometimes your walk away is your takeaway. That's what you're taking away. You're not leaving the situation empty handed. The strength that it took for you to not just make up your mind, but
Mm,
to
mm,
actually
mm,
put your feet and your life in motion to walk
mm,
away,
mm,
that is your takeaway, and be proud of yourself. It is not a failure. It is not a mistake. It's not an error. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You hold your head up. That is your takeaway. And that because you walked away so you can start again. You found your value enough to walk away. That's your takeaway. I've learned to be proud of that. I walked away from 2 marriages, and I was like, Lord, I want, it's not what I wanted. It's not what, it's not how I pictured my life. But, and I used to hold my head down for a while and was ashamed of it. And God said, you better pick your head up, because that's what you took away. You found yourself and you walked away. You did what you needed to do. And in that, there's honor. And I said, okay, God, I got it. I found myself. Um, and just lastly, what I would just add is to keep in mind that, like it says, the pearls don't lie on the seashore. If you want one, you must die for it. And it's two-part in that. If you want to become that pearl, you have got to dive for it. You have
mhm,
got to do the work to become
mm,
that pearl.
mhm,
And when you do, you need to know that you are worth someone
mm,
diving, doing the work that's
mm.
necessary to find you, not laying on the seashore, but doing the work to dive in the deep, to pick you up and find you and care for you. Tell them, be careful with me. I'm delicate.
Ooh, be careful with me. I'm delicate.
Be careful.
Ooh, that's loaded word right there. Amen. Yes. And Martel on a mission said agreed with exclamation. Take chances. Yes, yes, and yes. I mean, this has been, we can't go no further. You just did it. You just ended everything so perfectly. You just set it up, closed it up, tied it up, put the bow on it, and dropped the pearl right
I
on
learned, I
top.
learned from the best. I learned from the best, from my mentor here, from my auntie. I got to, if I'm gonna be with you, I got to flow with you. I got to look like you. I got to come out smell. I can't be this close and not come out like you.
Oh my goodness, this has been so awesome.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
guys, listen. Oh, our dear Bravetta in the house. Listen, we are so happy,
With
Princess
all of
K.
you.
Motrell on a mission. I think Motrell has some things coming up. You got to go subscribe to her page. I'm
Okay.
waiting to get the little ding, ding, ding bell for her doing something. Ine is here, and those on Facebook, thank you for being here. Yeah, go over to Motrell on a mission when we finish and hit that like button and subscribe to her channel
I
because we
absolutely
still
will.
talking about doing our trip because we're going to Egypt. We are
Okay.
definitely
Yes.
we're gonna go to Egypt. We're gonna get our little group together. I don't know if it's gonna be little. Yeah, it's gonna be little because I don't need a whole bunch of yakety yakety yakety. We could just look, see the introvert of me till it comes in. That little
Right.
introvert.
I
Well,
got you. I
I'm
understand.
extrovert slash introvert. But yeah, it's gonna be wonderful. But listen, those of you who don't know about Motrell on a mission, go head over and subscribe to her channel. Innate, Princess K. Listen, we love you here.
Yes.
We love you. This Thursday, we have an incredible conversation with Dr. Sherrod Tomlinson at 7 o'clock. You don't want to miss this interview. Dr. Sherrod Tomlinson, you don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, it's going to be a nice conversation, a nice chat. We give men bravos on this platform as well. They can get in on the
Brave
bravo.
Brothers. The Brave
They
Brothers.
can get on the brave brothers. Yeah, we can give them. So listen, ladies, God bless you. Stay well. Remember, when nothing changes, right? You got to keep it moving. And so until we see you next time, we'll see you hopefully on Thursday. I think I come on tomorrow at noon on the SIM channel
Okay.
at 12 o'clock, the Kabod. And we're going to talk a little bit. It's only usually like 30 minutes or so. And Nay has been over there every single time I come on.
Do
She's
it,
been
girl.
right there, right there. So I'm just so grateful for her, her support and her
Amen.
heart towards me. I really appreciate
Amen.
her and everyone else who is here tonight. So we'll talk to you later. You want to say, look, you don't drop the mic a few times, Dawn B. You listen. I gotta take my niece out of here because she cutting up tonight. Anyway, we talk to you guys later. Niece,
Just love.
stay right there. We have raised the bar tonight. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.